So let's talk about 4 more players in addition to the ones who we've already done so far, who have been the last one we did was Dariq Whitehead, Jordan Hawkins, Derek Lively the second, and Chris Murray. So all of those clips are on our YouTube channel. We've pulled out those discussions, all ranging from about 8 to 11 minutes. And so we have 4 more that we're going to quickly go through. We won't dig as deep on these guys, but why don't you go first from left to right?
Okay, left to right. Okay, Cason Wallace, freshman out of Kentucky, 19 years old. His splits were 11.7 points per game, 3.7 rebounds per game, 4.3 assists per game, shooting 44.6% from the field, 34% from three, 75% from the line. Just a lot of the things I've heard about Cason is just that, he's not like the best in terms of just he's only a 6'3" guard, but I think KOC has a mock to like Drew Holiday or something like that. I just think that if the Warriors are looking to move up in this draft class, I don't see them drafting another project like James Wiseman or Jonathan Kuminga. You've got to get a guy who you can guarantee will come and play day one, but also have upside. This is the mold that I'm trying to draft right now from these 4 guys that are laid out right here. These are guys that can come and potentially play day one, but also still have a type of upside that I'd be okay with if they traded up and still drafted that high. But yeah, Cason Wallace, just a really, really solid point of attack defender, 34% from three. I guess that's not the greatest, but usually draft people will gauge the 3-point shot by the free throw percentage. If you're a solid free throw percentage and you're a below average 3-point shooter, they believe that, the 3-point shot will come eventually because you have the mechanics down for the free throw. So 75% from free throw, I believe 34% from three. Like, I think there is a world in where his 3-point shot gets better, but I'm just more high on what he brings defensively. He makes impact winning plays, a little bit of shot creation off the dribble, but mainly just defense and just hard-nosed point of attack defense. And
in his latest big board, which was just updated yesterday, KOC had him at number 11. And I guess the minus, and we're seeing this a lot, is just these guys don't have great handles. Man, you guys got to fix your handles before you get into the league. You can't have that as your minus. But yeah, number 11. And then one of the things that stands out is you mentioned his height. He's only 6'2", but his 6'8" wingspan.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what about Anthony Black?
Anthony Black, I know that the Light Years guys really like him. Just Arkansas, so same college as Moses Moody. I think he got comped to Lonzo Ball, but the thing is that Anthony Black, his main minus, which kind of sucks, he cannot shoot the 3-point shot like that well at all. If I could find, you know what just came out today? Sam Vecini's big board, which is like 100-something pages.
Jeez.
I know, it's ridiculous. And you could just go up here and click on the player. And I just want to splits. 12.8 points per game, 5.1 rebounds per game, 3.9 assists per game, shooting 45% from the field, 30% from three, and 70.5%.
And he didn't take very many 3-point shots as well.
Yeah, low volume.
He's
low
not
volume.
looking for it.
He's a big guard. He's 6'5". That's what he measured at the combine. 210. So big boy. I think that, just another guy who I just believe that, impact player, makes winning plays, can just run an offense. But I think the questions are definitely from three. But the thing is, with my kind of take on non 3-point shooters in the NBA, if you want to talk about something that, like how do they not have a handle? My bigger question is, how do you watch this current NBA and think and not like try to everyone should be able to shoot type of thing.
Yeah.
But if you can't shoot, I think that if you can't shoot and you're a guard or a wing, I think it's important that you are able to handle the ball and be a primary offensive, start the offense. You look at, extreme examples, but Ja Morant. If Ja Morant was a wing, and he was like Isaac Okoro or he was Hamidou Diallo. Like you have to be able to handle the ball if you can't shoot it. And I think that's why, the Thompson twins, both guys cannot shoot the ball, but they can handle the ball and they could, dive to the rim effectively. So I think with Anthony Black, it's not that he fits that athletic mold, but he is able to do some stuff with the ball that doesn't completely hinder him not being able to shoot. Like he wouldn't just be in a corner like GP2 and then be waiting for, and the only reason I think it works with GP2 not being able to shoot is that the guy plays above his size. But yeah, another Anthony Black. I'll be honest, he's not a prospect I know all too much about. But I just know that the light years guys want him, and I know that he's a do a lot of the right things guy is what I know.
So the comp is Lonzo Ball, and I've never seen this guy play, but in reading KOC's write up, it sounds a little bit like Jason Kidd coming out of college. Now, Jason Kidd was a otherworldly athlete from that position because he was so strong and he was so quick, but he could not shoot, and everything was his ability to finish in traffic, and just because he's bumping off of guys and he's just so much bigger than everybody. But that's kind of what this reads to me. Defensive playmaker who loves to hunt or dig from an off-ball position to poke the ball away, and then when you get it, you're instantly in transition, and you're the playmaker, and you can finish. So all of a sudden, just the transition game just improves and becomes really good.
Yeah.
And that's something that the Warriors didn't have, right? We know that outside of Jordan Poole, when he would force it, that wasn't something that came naturally to the current team. But KOC has him as number 8 on his big board. And if you listen to the other Bri Fitz, you were looking at players more closer to where their 19 spot is. But with this rumor of, the Warriors trying to move up, now you are looking at guys in the range where maybe they could get to who could fit on the team.
Yeah. And yeah, Anthony Black, something I guess I forgot to mention was he's an insane defender. It works out that he's 6'5", 6'6", 210, and can be able to guard guards and do it effectively at the point of attack. Like that's extremely impressive. So yeah, Taylor Hendricks and Jarace Walker are definitely two I know way more about just because I've watched them a lot more. And Taylor Hendricks to me I don't see him falling past 7 on the Indiana Pacers. And I know a lot of people, the hesitancy with Taylor Hendricks is that he just doesn't have like this insanely high ceiling. He just profiles as honestly like a 3-and-D versatile defensive type of guy where I think at the peak, maybe a little lower than the peak because maybe there is an all-star ceiling there at some point. But I think the peak for him is just being able to guard like 2 through 5, and being able to, I think he shot like 40% from 3. Like the fallback with Taylor in relation to a lot of these other guys is that he can't create his own shot. It going into the even at his best, like I don't think people would project him to be able to create his own shot. He's honestly just like Jabari Smith Jr. from last year without some of the dribble pull-up stuff that Jabari has showcased this year. He's just a pure 3-and-D. I think he's a modern 3-and-D wing, whereas there's going to be versatility in his defense just because of his build and the wingspan, should be able to move relatively well. But I think he's going to be the prototypical 4 in this current NBA. I don't think he's a primary shot blocker, so I don't know if I'd trust him at the small ball 5, but that's something that you could try. I think he's more of a help side blocker. But yeah, just going to be a really solid defender, really can stretch the floor. I think that he is someone who would probably be in a playoff rotation for the Warriors if they were to draft him. Like he is he's just he can help right now, and there's still a little bit of upside, probably just not all-star upside. I think his upside just comes from him being able to start to show that defensive versatility, because right now I think he's a little slow in terms of foot speed, but I think his peak is guarding like 2 through 5, which would be really impressive, like Jaden McDaniels type, but he's more of like the big the big version of Jaden McDaniels, whereas Jaden McDaniels is like a wing.
Mm-hmm. So you said that he would be in the rotation for the Warriors. What is the difference between what he brings to the table and what they would get out of Kuminga? Obviously, Kuminga played, he's spotting up and he's shooting threes. But I mean, on this team, Kuminga would have to play the 4. more than likely, in order to get in the rotation, and Hendricks is playing the 4 and maybe small ball 5. So what is the difference between the two players?
I think Hendricks' ability to shoot the 3 as effectively as he does, I think you could play Hendricks, Kuminga, and Draymond all together at the same time, because Hendricks, I think his ability to shoot 3, like in the Warriors offense, you can make him a small forward. But I think defensively, he's definitely not a 3, but offensively, just because he's able to shoot the ball 40% from 3, like I think you can play him with some of the non-shooters that typically shouldn't play together. But yeah, I think that that's a good point with Kuminga, because they kind of would be playing the same position. But I think if the Warriors don't believe in Kuminga's 3 ball, and because of that, because of their lack of confidence in Kuminga's 3 ball, that rubs off on the opponent. The opponent's giving him too much room to shoot. It psychs him out. Like, I think that's not the greatest marriage for all of that stuff. So I think that would be the only difference. Obviously, Kuminga has the way higher upside. I'd rather have Kuminga on my team than Taylor Hendricks. But if you're talking about, just being able to help this Warriors team, Taylor Hendricks might be the better fit, simply because teams already would fear his 3.
But theoretically, if he's on this roster, Kuminga's not going to be on this roster, because Kuminga would be in the deal to get
in the
him.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then what about Walker? Jarris
Walker. He's subtly like my favorite prospect in this draft. Like, I can already tell you right now, he'll never be like the best player on a championship team. Some of his questions come from his ability to create his own shot, hitting tough shots from the mid range, or just creating his own shot in general. I think to me, I've said this a few times, and there's not like a crazy amount of backing behind it, but Jarris projects as like an insane defender. Like, he's just super versatile. Can play the small ball 5. Like, you just really trust this guy defensively in the modern NBA of switchability and all that type of stuff. Like, he can anchor a defense. Offensively, I think there's the potential that, you talk about what Draymond is offensively, that probably, like, to us, I get excited about Draymond offensively, but to every other team, they see him as, guy who can't shoot, guy who really, just his inability to shoot and create his own shot for himself is kind of what pushes a lot of other NBA fans away from ever wanting, him on their team offensively, I guess. But I think with Jarris is that he can stretch the floor from 3. I want to say he shot in the 34 or 35 to like 38% from 3. Do you have that pulled up right now?
34.7 on almost 3 attempts.
And I think that, so low volume, but I think that there's been an indicator of like he's improving every single season from the 3-point shot. So if you could promise me that this guy can shoot above league average from 3, I think league average is around 33 to 34. So if he could shoot above league average from 3, people have to defend it. I think there's an opportunity that he can do that pick and roll with Steph that Draymond does. The high pick and roll, he gets the ball. He has to make a decision whether to score it or whether to dish it to the left corner, to the right corner, to the dunker spot for the cutter. Like, I think he might have that mold offensively, in terms of he's a big who has good passing instincts, who is super athletic and can shoot a floater. Like, I feel like he could play that role perfectly. And I think the reason why I like him so much, there's a lot of reasons why I like this guy, but there is just this subtlety that I feel like there's some Draymond potential with him. And Draymond's obviously like my favorite player of all time. So I think that, Jarris just has the potential. I don't think he'll ever be as good as Draymond, but just the potential to be like the more athletic and being able to shoot threes version of a Draymond is what definitely motivates or intrigues me about this player. And he's not I think I already kind of mentioned this, but I think he's just the ultimate like support player. And when people are drafting that high in the draft, you're looking for a franchise changer, a best player on a championship team. Victor Wembanyama is going to change a franchise. Scoot Henderson has the potential to be an all NBA guy. Brandon Miller, like, maybe you're falling off a little bit in terms of upside, but Jarris Walker, people won't never give him the respect to be like this top all-star player, simply because I don't think he's going to be like anything crazy offensively, but I just think that he's going to be the super support player that you need on your team to win a championship. Second or third best player, just completely is the best player on defense, anchors the defense, that makes all the right plays. Yeah, I think that the fit with him would be interesting with the Warriors, but I think it would be super cool, if there was ever a world in where they had all the vets they needed, they didn't need to worry about it, and Draymond could be his vet.
Mm-hmm.
That would be just a really intriguing scenario to me.